TV. You're like, look, lady,
Nah, I ain't telling them nothing.
you should you should include
Probably.
that.
Let me know when you start recording so I can turn my lights on.
Started recording 7 minutes ago.
Well, don't use that footage.
I'm not going to use all of it.
No, don't use it. I'm literally not lit up. Like, I'm not even lit up. You talking to a damn shadow. All right, let's actually start properly. For once.
I should
Go into the new year the right way.
All right, we're going to start it off 2022. Thank you guys for joining. This is Anthony with E-Man on The Correct Opinion. We're back with a new show after a little bit of our hiatus. Thank you for joining us. We have a couple topics to talk about. My man E-Man over here has been doing big business, been doing big things. He's been going around the world, flown from coast to coast to sit here and talk about recasting T'Challa. No, he hasn't. He's been doing all this stuff virtually, but he's been talking to great folks like TMZ and Good Day LA, and hell, let me let you tell it.
Oh man, I mean, look, it's been a whirlwind this whole, I don't know, 2 weeks. First, ever since the Letitia Wright drama was happening, with her, not coming back from the United Kingdom or whatever, the whole anti-vax thing, that started getting people riled up and being like, you know what, man, just go ahead and recast Shuri. But then people was like, well, if you could recast Shuri, you could recast T'Challa. So then, boom, we started getting some momentum. And then after that, Chadwick Boseman's brother, Derek Boseman, came out, voiced support for the Recast T'Challa movement. And not only just voiced support, but he also said that he believes that his brother would have also wanted the role to be recast. That gave us another huge surge, given that huge endorsement. So that led to me getting an opportunity to go on TMZ Live to kind of talk about the whole situation. And, thanks to a lot of support from a lot of my followers and people that support the cause, they went out and started contacting reporters and news folks on our behalf. Yeah. And right after that, boom, I got Fox LA hitting me up saying, yo, we need you on to come talk about this movement, because it's not something, even though it's getting a lot of coverage, there are still people out there that just don't know. There's a lot of information that people don't know, because people are just, and I get it, like, they're casual fans. It's, understandable. Everybody's not going to nerd out and read every article like I would, but, this is something that really needs to continue being talked about. And it's an important conversation. And what makes it important is the impact that Black Panther had. If Black Panther had never had the cultural, social impact that it had, nobody would care about this, like, at all. This would be like, man, whatever, it's just another movie, screw it, but this matters, you know what I'm saying? And at the same time, we're trying to tell people, like, look, we ain't trying to ask for nothing, some cheap, lazy, immediate write-off. You don't have to just throw somebody in the role right now. Take your time. All we're saying is, like, just don't permanently end the character. Like, that's not, I feel like that's more of a disservice to all the hard work that Chadwick put into this. I mean, the dude was fighting cancer, and he could have been staying at home, kicking his feet up, conserving his energy, but he kept going because he knew how important this role was for everybody else.
Now you've been going on TV, you've been talking with more people about it. But like you said, now after the Letitia Wright controversy, it was kind of like your little in to get this movement to kind of springboard a little. More people are talking about it. More people are investigating it. Like you said, TMZ was able to get a hold of Derek Boseman. I know that was a little pet project too, but they got him to go on record to actually quote and say, like, hey, my brother would have wanted this recast. How does it change now that all these famous people are now even pushing the conversation more? Is Marvel treating you different? Have they asked to talk to you? Have they?
So here's the thing. I reached out to Marvel when we hit like 1,000. First of all, I reached out early to kind of say, like, hey, I'm very uncomfortable with the decision that you guys made. Are you okay if I voice my opinion? And, one way or another, I heard that, there's nothing wrong with fans voicing their opinion. And I would just say that, like, even this whole petition, it's not a way to bash Marvel. It's not attacking them or nothing like that. We're just saying, like, yo, we care about T'Challa in this role. Right. We want to honor and celebrate Chadwick. We just feel like the one thing you shouldn't do is go killing this character. That's all. Like, tell whatever story you want, elevate whoever you want, pass the mantle to whoever you want. Just don't permanently end the character. That's not really asking for much, to be honest with you.
Marvel is not above recasting. We've seen them do it.
They're not. They just don't want to. And the thing is, I don't think they understand the long-term impact of that, and that's a whole nother conversation. But,
Which is weird because they did take the time to recast Terrence Howard, right? Yeah. Even though War Machine didn't have as much of an impact. They were like,
now you're gonna get some goalpost movers. You're gonna get some people that say, well, that's not the same. And I get that. But the overall point is recasting happens all the time. It's literally a part of the business. It's almost like getting upset that a player gets traded in sports. It happens all the time. And it's never been disrespectful. Even when it's been like the ugliest of situations, recasting is not disrespectful, and
like our 4th or 5th Batman.
Right. But like, think about it like this. You've never had a previous actor's legacy be tarnished because somebody else stepped into the role. Even if someone else showed up and screwed it up and the whole show or production goes downhill, the previous actor is fine because they made their mark. They did their thing. They don't correlate.
Nobody said like one of the other James Bond actors affected, anybody else's career ever.
But what happens with that though? In hindsight, we go back and look, and what do? We have favorites now. We're like, man, Sean Connery was my favorite. No, it was Roger Moore. No, it's Daniel Craig for me. And it's fun. Like, we could sit here, have that barbershop talk. You know what I'm saying? And it's cool, right? Why can't we do that with T'Challa and make him the first of many?
Now, we already talked about this. We talked about this offline ad nauseum. I told you how I think Marvel's views are with regard to the character of Black Panther. It's just a coincidence that it's a cultural important figure, and it's not at all their interest to try to promote him as such. In fact, it seems like they intentionally try to only keep him at a certain level so that he doesn't get out of their control, right?
So I just want to say that one thing I will not do, I'm not going to do any character assassination because I don't want them coming and saying and twisting things on me. I'm not going to talk about, I am walking in the assumption that they are doing what they feel is best. Now, by their own admission, and I will always hold them accountable by what they say and what they do, by their own admission, they never anticipated what Black Panther specifically would do. This is why, yes, they gave Black Panther a shot. They gave him a movie. They still didn't even know it was going to hit $1 billion, but they was like, oh, it blew them away the same way Iron Man blew them away. They didn't know that C-level character was going to do what he did. So even after that huge outpouring of the first Black Panther movie, keep in mind, like, they were already working on Infinity War and Endgame. They still minimized his role because they didn't realize, they didn't see it was coming. So
even still, like I can say it, Marvel had $1 billion franchise and they've held off on making the sequel for a long time.
That is crazy because really, Ant-Man got a sequel real fast.
That's crazy in any industry, in any film. As soon as something crosses a certain threshold, sequel talks are immediate. So
we should have had a Disney Plus Wakanda show.
For them to have a product that make $1 billion in the box office and then they decide, you know what? Hold off. We'll get to it eventually. That tells you how they view this specific character amongst others, right? Because when the Spider-Man movie started making money, what did they do? They started to try to renegotiate with Sony so they could get half of that box office. Even
they
though
saw the value.
It wasn't nearly as big. They made 100% of the profit of Black Panther. They made portions of Spider-Man, but we got our whole trilogy in a small amount of time. I remember I was reading the other day, John Watts is the first director in the MCU to complete a trilogy.
Wow. By himself.
And we're in 2022. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like that tells you a lot about Marvel's decision making, how they view their characters, which ones are their favorites and which ones are not necessarily something they're interested in pushing as much. Right?
Yeah.
Doctor Strange made a lot of money. It's been 6 years since his movie.
Yeah, and I'm just to kind of go back to one of your earlier questions about, like, you know, how's this coverage like helping? I want to put things in perspective for people. On Christmas Day, that was a Saturday, Make the Amazing Spider-Man 3 was trending. This was something that was blowing up Twitter. It had over 400,000 tweets and mentions, and it was nuts. You barely heard a word about it. Recast T'Challa, Save T'Challa started trending with maybe like 4,000, a mere fraction of what the other one did, and we got coverage from the LA Times, you know, and I need people to understand the LA Times ain't really just gonna cover anything or whatever. And if you were gonna pick one, you would go pick the thing that's been retweeted ridiculously more, right? But the reason why we got more coverage is because this is deeper than just people wanting to get their movies out there. It's deeper than just some comic book fans feeling entitled, being like, I want my movies and my story. No, that's not what this is. It's about Black representation. It's about actually honoring Chadwick Boseman. It's about the children. It's about the kids that actually look up to this character. It's about not profiting off of the exploitation of a real life tragedy in a fictional story. That's what Recast T'Challa is all about. And that's why I keep trying to tell people, like, yo, this is not about the mantle. Like, stop thinking about the mantle. It's about building a legacy. It's about building a legacy. And it's funny. It's funny because I hear people on other networks and channels, and they say, like, well, we could just wait 10 years and what's the big deal? And I'm like, you would never say that if Tom Holland died and we didn't have a Spider-Man. You're not waiting 10 years for another Spider-Man. Sony show as hell not gonna wait no 10 years. No, that's their big Spider-Man No Way Home was their highest grossing movie ever. That is their biggest, largest IP.
What? Before that was Far From Home.
Far From Home
was their highest grossing movie.
That's their highest grossing IP. If I don't care if you Kevin Feige, if you walk up to Sony and somebody says, we're not going to we're going to retire Spider-Man to honor, tribute, whatever, you will lose your job. You will be fired. That's black. You'll take some time. You'll celebrate. You'll do a video tribute, whatever. And then you're going to move on.
Listen, we could talk about Recast T'Challa to our faces
all day. I will talk about it all day.
I will say one thing.
We about to hit 50K.
That's amazing. We started talking about this way back in April, and it was just like, 1,100. Let's watch, see what happens.
2 people.
Yeah, it's like now you at like 40, 50K. That's impressive. Yeah. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
I think as someone who's been here as a supporter since the beginning, I, of all people, at least deserve my very own Recast T'Challa t-shirt. I'm looking at this.
I got you covered.
I'm seeing it on TV.
I got you covered. If anybody is watching, and if you do want a Recast T'Challa shirt, you can go to teespring.com/Recast T'Challa, and all proceeds go towards the colon cancer charity in Chadwick Boseman's name. We recently just crossed the mark of raising $1,000, and we just made that donation like last week. So super, super proud. Shout out to all of y'all that already have a shirt. But yes, if you do end up buying a shirt, I'm not making a dime off of this. All the money goes straight to colon cancer research in memory and honor of Chadwick Boseman.
I keep forgetting. I've got like sound effects. Never used it. Gotta remember that.
You got to put them in use.
All right. Well, moving right along. I don't want to go ad nauseum about it. Other thing I wanted to talk about was this little weird thing that was going on between The Rock and Vin Diesel. So,
this is so funny.
This is fun. This is funny. It's fun, right? Just seeing these two guys just go back and forth in social media, and they're not even really good at it. They're like really weird and awkward about it. It's like seeing, I don't know, my parents try to tweet. So the whole thing is that The Rock is not returning to the Fast and Furious franchise. They had that famous beef that occurred on the set. it went off with The Rock getting his own spin-off series, separate from the rest of the franchise that may or may not return. It from the sounds of it, it don't even sound like that's gonna happen anymore. But essentially, Vin Diesel tried to put this social media post out there where he essentially tries to extend an olive branch to The Rock to see if he'll return to the franchise and finish things out in Fast and Furious 10. But The Rock just ain't with the shit. So
Nope.
he is not with it. He actually he turned around and tore Vin Diesel's post apart almost.
Yeah. It's like it doesn't matter what you want.
It's weird because there was all this inside speak, right? I guess there's this thing where Paul Walker had a nickname Pablo. I don't know.
I mean, look. All I know is I've been tracking this for a while, and I've been finding it quite hilarious because it all started with The Rock basically calling out people for being unprofessional. Later came out that it was actually Vin Diesel that was being unprofessional. Just showing up late, not really doing his thing on set. And then Vin Diesel twisted that into I'm just making, I'm pushing these actors, especially The Rock, to be the best that they can be, and blah blah blah. And of course, The Rock heard that and was like, yeah, okay, all right, bye. Right? As I'm the number one star out there, I needed your help. All right,
hold on. Vin Diesel's going to be the guy to push someone's acting ability.
I'm just saying, The Rock helped the Fast and Furious more than it helped him. I'm not saying it didn't help him, but he helped them a lot more. But either way, after The Rock said and I like what he said because he was he was very adamant, not just him, but also his producer. They both were like, we're done. We wish y'all the best. Do your thing. Go team. We're just not going to do it. We're going to go do this. Hobbs and Shaw 2. We're going to make it the antithesis to Fast and Furious, which I don't know, maybe it's grounded in reality and logic and science. But we're good. That was the respectable professional way to do it. Then Vin comes around, like you said, hey, little brother, you got to come back. The people want you. And he did this in a public manner, right? And to me, I was just kind of like, yo, this feels mad awkward, to be doing this stuff when somebody already is like, I don't want to do it, But then The Rock in that same interview says he didn't feel that manipulation. That wasn't cool to try and manipulate the public because now you're almost trying to make The Rock look like the bad guy for not coming back.
First off,
and it's,
he didn't even do it well.
You bringing your kids into this too and stuff.
And his kids,
it's like, come on, man. And The Rock admitted, he was like, yo, we had a private conversation one-on-one, and I told you I'm not coming. Leave me alone. And he still go make that post. And it's that's not cool. This is exactly reaffirming what Rock was talking about in terms of being unprofessional.
Isn't The Rock twice Vin Diesel's size? How you gonna
twice his size probably?
How you gonna call him little brother publicly and then?
I mean, he probably is older than The Rock.
Still, it doesn't seem
I don't know
sincere to start off like that. It seems very insincere.
I know. I was just like Vin is now. Here's the one thing, and I'm not gonna put this past either one of them. But there is a theory that this all could be for show. This could be a WWE style promotion for Fast 10 to be like, no, I'm not coming back. Just like what Andrew Garfield, Now
this could all be a ploy. This could all be marketing.
This could
but
be
here's
marketing.
Where I think it might
show up in the post-credit scene and blow everybody away.
The Rock is at a point in his career now versus where he was when he started in the Fast and Furious franchise, where he doesn't need the Fast and Furious franchise. Vin Diesel needs it, right? He doesn't have any other film franchise outside of it that has been successful. Yep. Right? He tried that one where he was trying to be a witch hunter.
He tried the Pitch Black, and
he tried Triple X. He tried Chronicles of Riddick. He tried a couple different things where he tried to get his own franchise that could be a companion franchise to the Fast and Furious. None of them have worked. The Rock, on the other hand, he attached himself to the Fast and Furious for a while. G.I. Joe fizzled out. All those other things fizzled out. But then he started getting the Jumanji movies. Now he's got the Jungle Cruise, and that's Jungle Cruise made a lot of business for him. And now he's got Disney movies, and he's got more opportunity to do more business with Disney beyond this. In addition to that, he's a superhero. He's getting his own superhero movie very soon. He's going to be Black Adam.
Not a hero. He's a anti-villain.
You know, that can work. That can really, really work. So with everything that The Rock has going on with his relationships with Disney, his relationship with Warner Brothers, his various TV shows that he just keeps popping up with, right? He had that like American Gladiator show. He got like Little Rock. He was on that football show. Dude, he keeps popping up with TV shows and movies. He doesn't need the Fast and Furious anymore.
True.
So it's part of me is like, because he doesn't need it, he might be being sincere. It might be his own.
I believe that too. Like,
right?
I believe more that he is adamant about not coming rather than the whole ploy theory. Like, I really think he's for real. Like, I'm good.
The only reason I could see him saying he's good or pretending is if he's posturing for more money, if he wants to raise.
I mean, his rate demands the money, period.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
But
Fast and Furious, I don't think he was getting the rate that he gets now. When he started with the Fast and Furious, he wasn't as big.
Because I know the rates are different depending on the type, right? So there's a certain rate if you're a supporting character of the Rock's caliber. There's a certain rate if you're the lead actor, top billing. And there's a certain rate if you're going to be an ensemble, because sometimes with the ensembles, because they can't afford everybody's top rate, maybe they give you something like, all right, we'll give you the cut on the box office,
now,
and we pay you little now, and you make residual later.
But this is kind of what started their beef, right? Because The Rock was getting a certain billing compared to the others, and then it affected all their pay, and then there was this whole thing about him spinning off in his own movie so it doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
So, if he's going to come back, he's going to be like, look, all right, my rate.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I don't even think it's a money thing. Like, I think Rock is, at least based off of his comments, he's legitimately irritated with Vin Diesel. Like, he just does not want to work with him. And I don't blame him.
Money could change people's minds.
Money can, but The Rock ain't hurting for money. Like,
he's not hurting for money, but
he's got tequila brands.
Lots of actors who are not hurting for money that still take the money, right? When they start going into a movie, they don't say, oh, well, I'm so well off, you can lower my rate, unless it's their friend.
You're right. Unless it's a bro movie.
Yeah.
Like, bro, come and do this movie with me. Come on, bro. Okay, bro.
Exactly. Right. I can see him doing that for like maybe directors that help break him in or something like that. But that's about it.
Right.
Anyway, that was a fun little side thing that they have going on. I don't know what's going to come of it. I don't know what's going to happen in this Fast movie. I still got to catch up on the Fast franchise.
Do you?
I might just skip ahead and just watch the latest one.
Fine.
Moving right along. So this is one that I've kind of avoided us having a conversation about.
Uh-oh.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into it like that with you, but let's go into it a little bit. Right now, we know that The Matrix made a mere $22 million in its opening weekend.
Yikes. How much did Spider-Man make?
Let's not talk about that. What we're talking about are maybe something that we can compare it to that had a simultaneous release in theaters and on HBO Max. And I would say the closest thing that was as big, maybe in name, is Dune. And Dune made $40 million.
I can see that. How much did Godzilla make?
I don't know. I'd have to go back.
But Dune is better because it's a little closer to post-vaccine era.
Yeah, because Godzilla, Mortal Kombat, I think that they made what they made, or they've gotten their notoriety mostly from their streaming. Like HBO Max was benefit for them. But for something as big as like The Matrix, it feels like it might have been a hindrance. Right? People weren't running out to see the new Matrix movie as much as they were the new Spider-Man movie.
Right.
For a number of different reasons. A lot of different reasons. I would say one of the big things that helps the new Spider-Man movie, and you can disagree if you want, is the fact that similar to Infinity War, it's a movie that's picking up from a cliffhanger.
Sure.
So that helps a lot because
Absolutely.
then it had those years of anticipation and build up. It's like years of subliminal marketing to help, with
that's a good point. Yeah.
Whereas Matrix just we
like,
had
did you need that sequel? Did you need this conclusion?
No, you didn't. And it was just a different type of anticipation for it. I think me as a Matrix fan, 17 years later, not being left on a cliffhanger, not having that same level of anticipation, I look forward to seeing this movie at home. I didn't anticipate going to the theaters to see it because it just didn't have that same type of build-up for me.
Did you go to the theaters?
I did. I went and saw Spider-Man in the theaters.
I've been to the theaters for Matrix.
No.
Oh.
I went and saw Spider-Man twice, but I did see the Matrix twice at home.
Gotcha. And that's a different viewing experience. I just want to mention that there is a slight difference in the experiential movie going when you watch something at home versus you get up, get dressed, go to your car, go travel, pay money, sit down for a presentation. You want, like, if you put that little bit of extra effort in going to the movie theaters and paying more money than what you're already paying for at home.
That's also because we're setting up different expectations for
But that's what I'm saying. It affects the expectations.
Yeah.
If I have to get up and go do something, I'm expecting that it's going to be worth it.
I got up to go to see Spider-Man because I knew that the crowd participation was going to be similar to Endgame. Right. When I went and saw Endgame in theaters and we're all cheering together in unison with a crowd of like a couple hundred people, that's fun. That's really fun. And I knew this Spider-Man movie was going to do that. I didn't expect that from the Matrix. I didn't even
I didn't expect that either.
Right.
But I mean, look, if we're talking about expectations.
I went for the participation.
If we're talking about expectations, because when I too have been a long time Matrix fan. Like I've enjoyed more of the movies that people don't like in the Matrix trilogy. That's how much, like, Matrix 1 is all the way up here for me. I know Matrix 2 might be here for people, but it's like here for me. Matrix 3, it's lower, but I know some people call it complete trash. I can stomach watching Matrix 3 because of my fandom for the whole trilogy, right? But and because I like the conclusion of Neo's journey. But so for me, going into the Matrix Resurrections, I was excited but nervous at the same time.
Right.
I was excited because you're continuing a sci-fi story that revolutionized movie making for a long time. Absolutely. Movies have been copying the Matrix for years. The slow motion, the martial arts and all that, like that's all due to Matrix, right?
Yep.
But and the sci-fi element, the themes of the simulation theory and control and all, like blew people away, Yep. But what I was worried about was, can you keep up with your own shadow? Can you keep up with your own legacy? Because the number one thing, I compare the Matrix to Apple, and I'm talking about Apple in the Steve Jobs era.
You're gonna do pre-Jobs and post-Jobs,
right? Pre-Jobs, post-Jobs, right? So pre-Jobs, while Jobs was around, Apple was known for one thing: innovation. Apple came out with things that blew our mind. It changed the industry. Yeah, there were MP3 players before, but there wasn't an iPod. Sure. We had little tablets around, but they weren't iPads. Like every time Apple came out with something, it blew everyone away. It revolutionized the industry, and it was the trendsetter, right? That's what the Matrix trilogy did before. Post Steve Jobs, all they started doing was minor upgrades. Oh, here's that same phone we gave you last year, but like this time it's like the iPhone S8 2.A. They stopped innovating, and that's why I was like, yo, please don't let that happen with the Matrix Resurrections, where you have hit a wall in terms of what you can do to innovate. And I think that's exactly what happened. It was very limiting in terms of what they offered us, because maybe they waited too late, or maybe it's due to the lack of only one Wachowski's sibling there. Either way, this was not a game changer. And I'm gonna let you go. I know expectations are not always fair to put against every single movie. I know that. But you also can't completely ignore it. You can't just say something that was so revolutionary, so impactful, we're supposed to go in there with like zero expectations. It's impossible. The average person going in to the Matrix Resurrections remembers how crazy and impactful the first one was, and they're going to walk in with that bias.
What I was going to say was, the first Matrix movie was really good at being like a jack of all trades.
Yes.
It was like a superhero movie. It was a philosophical movie. It was thought-provoking.
Yeah.
And it was a thriller. And in addition to that, it had amazing action.
Yes.
Now, something I feel is different with the Matrix movies versus some other movies is that people walk away with different interpretations of what the Matrix meant for them. Some people just liked it as a superhero movie. They just want to see Neo overcome the machines, and they like that anime inspiration of, underdog overcoming, a huge obstacle. Some people like it for the ideas of the undertones and the story that's so deep and so integral to the story that it helped complement it, but you can also ignore it, right? Everything about the Alice in Wonderland allegories, everything about the iconography of the ship, everything about the biblical overtones and the Judeo-Christianity mimicking that they do with the ascension of Neo and his resurrection. All of that stuff that they borrow from, it can go right over your head and you can ignore it, right? You could literally just be like, oh, this is just a dude who turns into a Super Saiyan. Or, like you can have your own interpretation of the first Matrix movie. It wasn't until I saw The Matrix 2 that I realized that my takeaway from the Matrix movies wasn't the same thing as the directors. They had something that they were trying to create, and what I enjoyed from it was just a byproduct of that. And the second and third movies weren't as universal that way. They weren't able to do everything the same way.
Yeah.
And I don't think they tried. I think that they intentionally did this. They're artists in that way. And what they did was satisfy their own story without trying to satisfy the audience, which is applaudable. It's absolutely applaudable.
No,
the Matrix,
that's facts.
Matrix 4, I think, continued and pushed some of the philosophical concepts that were introduced in the first Matrix movies. And it did continue to innovate with some of the things that they introduced from a story standpoint. But the things that a lot of general audiences remembered the Matrix for, the action, the superhero effects, all that stuff that they were hoping to see in the Matrix 4, it wasn't as prevalent. It wasn't a huge thing as part of the movie.
Yeah.
I loved it. I know I'm in the minority there. I love that little meta commentary that directors and writers sometimes do when they just talk and explain things like, hey, these guys were going to make a Matrix movie without us, which is now proven, right? Now we're seeing the news articles come out saying like, yo, they were going to do it without us. And if we didn't get on board, it was going to go out of our control. Maybe you would have got Matrix cats or something. Who knows? Right? Right? We see what people do with, or companies do with properties when they're out of the original creator's hands, right? We've got Star Trek cartoons and weird stuff going on. The Matrix 4 is a love letter. It's almost a goodbye to the fans who've been around for 17 years. It gave them progression in the story when we didn't ask for it. And it actually brought some resolution, right? A lot of people weren't happy with just the death of Trinity and Neo the way they did. Hey, they're alive, they're well, they're going to get back together. They have a happy ending where they fly off into the Matrix with both of them having superpowers. Boom, check that box.
Man.
Anyway, I could go on and on about a lot of stuff that I liked about it. That's just me.
I didn't care about none of that. Like, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with the themes that they were going for. And you're right. They were committed to the themes. And this is one of those things that I think a lot of creators get messed up with. And they get tripped up with. Because movies, as I've always said, movies are art, right?
Mm-hmm.
And art at the fundamental core is just another form of communication. And the point of communication is not just to talk or express yourself for nothing. It's to interact with other human beings. Because it's a two-way street, you can't just go and expect that whatever I say or do should matter. It also needs to translate in a way, because the most important thing is I've got to not only talk to you or present something to you, but it has to appeal to you too. Even if it's my idea, I need my idea to make sense for you. I need my idea to flow for you, because again, it's a two-way street. What ends up happening, unfortunately, is like directors, writers, whoever, creatives, they get so stuck in their own mental silo that they're like, yo, this is my message, this is my vision, whatever, and they lose sight of how or whether how that affects the audience. And what we saw in this movie, in my opinion, was that they were very, very committed to this theme of the power of love, right? We get it.
Absolutely.
It's a time-tested theme. Nobody's trashing it. I just thought they went too heavy-handed with it. I think they leaned into with it a little too much, literally, you know, like the whole touch and all that. Like,
I agree.
It was getting a little, to me, I thought the power and connection between Neo and Trinity was far more effective as a subtle, as subtext, rather than being so overt. It's fine when you imply it and we can get it, right?
Yep.
Like, we understand that the whole reason Neo saved everybody was because of his love for Trinity.
Or he didn't save everybody. He chose to save Trinity.
Right.
So that I'm with you, because
but what I'm saying is
too heavy-handed.
What I'm saying is the audience understood that the love was there, but it wasn't beat over their head with it. It was still like, I love Trinity, but at the same time, I'm trying to save everybody too. It wasn't all about Trinity.
And that was a lot of what people didn't like about the second and third movies, because they had this huge the second movie was the first time we had an R-rated sex scene in cinemas in like over a decade. If you remember, at the time when The Matrix Resurrections came out, it was a big little sub thing about how they had the first sex scene in theaters in over a decade. They started to lean heavy into the Matrix and into Neo and Trinity's romance that we didn't see in the first movie. And that took we had subplots of it, subtleties. Like you said, it's great when they do it subtle, but it's awful when they do it overt.
Yeah. They
have their own story that they wanted to push. Love, romance, that was their thing. It's what they wanted to tell. And we see it more in this movie. This movie was like, you know, them telling Warner Brothers, you can try to make a movie without us. We have the contractual right to do it ourselves. And now we're going to tell the story we want. Stop it.
Well, let's see how that worked out for them.
There's no more movies planned according to
at this, and sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it takes for failure to happen to kind of be like, okay, give it up. It's not working. You had a great movie. Like, the trajectory of reception, reviews, or whatever of these franchise, it's going down. First one was great. Second one, not so much. Third one, This one is probably, I don't know if it's worse or equal to the third one, but that's still not good either way.
I like it as much as the second
one. I wouldn't even put it there. I'd say I can give or take. I'd probably want to watch the third one over this one.
I would say
I wouldn't mind.
I would like this one more if Hugo Weaving came back.
Oh,
that
would be different. That would be different. Oh, if I could get a Mr. Anderson,
a proper right, without having all of that spliced in footage, it would have been a different movie. I know I would have enjoyed it way more, but I think I read online that he declined.
I mean, he's been declining a lot of stuff. He declined Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
You know, Infinity War.
Yeah.
You know, he declined this. I mean,
he doesn't need to work. He's already got like 2 iconic, 3 if you want to count V for Vendetta because it's cult favorite. He's got a lot of roles that under his belt, and he's probably okay, right?
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is.
Anyway,
I wasn't not one thing I'll say, I was not mad about what they did in the movie in terms of pushing the narrative. I was hoping they lean more into that, like the whole war of control between machines and humans. I loved that that progression.
I want to see more sentient machines.
That's what I'm saying.
Sentient programs and all that stuff.
But this is what I'm talking about. You could have been emphasizing more of that. Like, that's literally what the entire Matrix was about, was machines controlling humans and getting to the evolutionary point where they work cohesively. Like, this
at least that's what it was for us. But for the Wachowskis, the movie was about Neo versus Smith.
Right.
Which is annoying.
This is what the Oracle wanted. Like, which is ironic because the Oracle is a byproduct of the Matrix.
I'm glad they stripped all that away. I'm glad they didn't bring in another. I'm glad Neil Patrick Harris didn't go on super huge monologues like that. I'm glad they stripped away the Oracle and the Architect.
But they don't.
Glad we got the little cameo of the Merovingian. I would have liked to have seen his wife.
Got the analyst. The analyst is the new architect. Really,
he is
just like, I took over.
Heavy-handed. He's not nearly as heavy-handed.
No, he's not.
One thing that I will say I like about this movie is that the plot is not nearly as dense. This is something that most people could follow along with if they just give it a little time. There are a couple things that I saw that helped with the rewatchability.
I think people are gonna get lost in the beginning already.
The beginning requires a rewatch. I didn't understand
the beginning
modals.
Requires a rewatch.
I didn't understand modals. I didn't understand what they were doing with remaking that scene. But after watching the movie once, walking away and coming back, I'm like, all right, this actually makes sense. And that was kind of what helped me appreciate the first Matrix movie when it came out. Because when it first came out, I didn't really care about the supporting cast as much. I didn't care about the name of the ship, the Nebuchadnezzar, or its symbolism. I didn't care about any of that stuff.
Sure.
But after walking away and coming back, I'm like, holy crap, this is kind of dense. This is kind of fun to uncover. This is kind of cool. And I could say that with this movie, it has a lot of that. It really does. I know I'm going to rewatch it again because I'm finding more stuff to uncover with each rewatch, but I understand why it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
The Matrix. I could talk about the Matrix, but I won't.
Neo is not the one.
He's going to come back as John.
There is no one.
There is the one. The only thing
there is no one. Especially this movie just proved it. The movie just proved it. There is no one.
The only thing that he did was he stopped the resurrection process. He stopped the loop. It's kind of like Ragnarok, right? If you stop the Asgardians from dying, then there won't be Ragnarok, right? So without the death of Neo in the Matrix and them resurrecting him, they stopped another iteration of the one from emerging, and then they kept him in a jail. It was very intelligent. It was a thought out solution that the machines have to stop this process from repeating.
They needed him. They needed him though.
They didn't need him. They needed to keep him locked busy.
No, they needed him. The one was made up by the Matrix. It was always a lie.
I thought it was a glitch. It was a combination of.
It's a lie. It's a lie. That whole prophecy. All of that stuff. Now that's something when you talk about watching.
No. The religion behind it is a lie, but the actual emergence of the character is not. He is an anomaly, not something that they intentionally create. But however, you're right. It was a glitch, but it was a glitch that they started to manipulate and control. They tried to control.
No, they do. They did 7
each
reboots.
Iteration. They allowed Zion. They talked about
they use it to literally reboot itself and make itself better every single time.
Iteration of the Matrix said we don't need a hard reboot. We just need to do different things.
Right.
So I'm in agreement.
Did nobody say we got to shut down and turn off? We just need to restart the computer.
That's it, right?
But Neo is important to do that. Like the one is the soft reboot button.
He is, but again, keeping him imprisoned and immortal and not aware of his role in the one and keeping him alive prevented the ascension of another iteration of the one.
So how do you explain Trinity?
She is a byproduct of whatever they did to bring him back to life. They noticed
he's not the one.
they noticed in the lore that he started to draw strength from Trinity. So something happened when either he died the first time he died or the second time he died, because he died twice, in which he started to have her as a tether, right? And when this iteration of the Matrix rebooted, they didn't create a new version of the one. They just have his powers nerfed, and then he gets stronger when he's with her. I don't know if this is a new version of the glitch because they didn't reboot properly, right? It could be a number of different things. We'll never know because there won't ever be any more sequels.
Fine by me. At this point, I'm like, yo, just take it out in the back and shoot it. Like, I would much rather pretend that this never existed and be very comfortable with the trilogy.
I'm happy with this version, and I'm glad that they added it. I wish that they just had Hugo Weaving in it. That's it. That's my only complaint. If Hugo Weaving was in that role, same exact dialogue, same exact movie, I would have been fine.
Would have been nice.
Moving along. There's only a couple other things I was going to chat about. There's the casting with the DCEU, if you've been keeping up with it.
A little bit.
Michael Shannon in The Flash.
Okay.
Right? Michael Shannon hasn't been in a movie since Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. That was 2013. So it's been like a good.
Michael Shannon, he's been working. He's just been doing more.
No, I mean he hasn't been in the DCEU. He hasn't been in. His character got killed off, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been working, but he hasn't done anything nearly as high profile as Superman since.
Right.
So he's returning, and he's going to be in The Flash, which is interesting with Ben Affleck, Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, and everyone else that's in this movie. I'm curious how it's going to go. I think now Warner Brothers is unfortunately in this situation where they're going to do comparison
of his version versus.
Not even. I think they're going to financially and box office wise, they're going to start to compare The Flash to Spider-Man. Okay. So the same way that they compared Justice League to the Avengers and their expectations and what they wanted, even regardless of the horrible production that they had for Justice League, or, I can't even comment on the production for The Flash because I don't know much about this director, Machete. I don't know much about, the supporting cast that he's putting in the movie. It's hard for me to judge, but I feel like the Warner Brothers execs are looking at the box office of Spider-Man with his multiversal traveling, and they're looking at this movie and they're like, you better hit a Billy. Right? Like, you better hit a Billy.
I wouldn't even put that on them like that, but
they do that though. This is how Warner Brothers operates.
I am concerned because you were talking about the director, and I just pulled up his IMDb, and I just realized like he's only got 8 directing credits under his name.
Not bad. That's okay.
I mean, he only has it's 8, but like he's doing Attack on Titan and The Flash, and those are in pre-production or just announced and in post-production. What he really has under his belt that's full featured is the movie Mama, It, and It Chapter 2.
Now, he's got a good history working with Warner Brothers, so that's what Warner Brothers is doing, right?
Yeah, they like to keep it in
their favorite directors, and they're pulling them into the DC.
They bring them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that like I enjoyed Mama until the end, like the way. But to be fair, he's done primarily horror movies as his full features, so I have no idea what he can do with an action flick and something that's going to be as immersive as the multiverse with the Flash. Like, I don't know what he can do with that. But all I know is that based off of Mama, It, and It Chapter 2, I've liked what he does, but he does fall apart. Like, towards the third act, he loses the grip sometimes. The movie falls apart a little bit. So I'm worried that with something as layered and deep as the multiverse, can he bring it home? Like, I think he's gonna introduce the movie fine. It'll have good action or whatever. But the real question is, when that third act comes, are you gonna be able to hold it together? Because I've seen that pattern in his other movies, and that does worry me.
So here's the good thing, right? The Flash is not written by the same folks who did those horror movies with him.
Yeah, that's
Now,
true.
Warner Brothers has a good track record, I guess, with doing horror movies over the years. Their directors in that department or that side of business have been doing great things, and now they're bringing over that talent to try to save the DCEU. Right, Aquaman crossed $1 billion with one of their best horror directors. They're hoping that lightning will strike twice here. This movie, however, is written by John Francis Daley. John Francis Daley co-wrote Spider-Man: Homecoming. He co-wrote Horrible Bosses. He co-wrote Vacation Friends. Vacation Friends was funny. I like Vacation.
Okay.
For its humor.
So there'll be some comedy in there.
We've got some comedy, and we've got somebody with superhero writing beneath his belt with Spider-Man: Homecoming. At least one of the writers, right? And that's just one of them. We've got a couple others with Jonathan Goldstein, who's done a couple other things alongside John Francis Daley. So we've got a team of people that work well together, that want to make a name for themselves and understand writing superheroes. The Flash, it seems like it's going to be their opportunity to reboot things and give Warner Brothers an out with introducing new iterations of Batman, Supergirl, Superwoman, General Zod, all these people. I kind of wonder if they're looking at like the people who helped reintroduce Spider-Man can help reintroduce the DCEU and help make this stuff cohesive. Right now, we've got cohesiveness a little bit with all the iterations of the Marvel Universe, thanks to Doctor Strange and the Loki TV show. I think they're looking for that from the Flash.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's one thing to have a writer involved, but like you need way more. You need that directorial vision. You need a producer that's willing to guide everyone. On top of that, I don't know if they have the right pieces. I'm not overly excited because one way or another, Warner Brothers has been more missed than hits. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm not saying it's impossible. You brought up some good examples, with Aquaman, Shazam. I would also say Joker, where they can hit something out the park, and they can do that. But I don't know about this movie. This movie was already in production hell before. Remember, they had like was it Fuqua or somebody else that was the director.
They had the didn't they have the Lego Batman directors associated with this at one point?
I don't remember.
I think they did, but regardless, they had to choose what direction they were going with this movie. One thing that we know is that they were kind of saying, "Hey, we're going to do some sort of Flashpoint,"
right?
But they didn't know what they were going to do with the ending, right? Are we going to reboot? Are we going to keep things the same? They decided to wait and see how other projects went first, which is fine. I think that they have a chance to introduce a type of multiverse, but I don't think expectations should be anywhere near on par with what Marvel has grown into just yet.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to like catapult them to the same level of fandom just because they put this one movie out. But I do think it does give them an opportunity to add some cohesion to their stories and then allow them more opportunity to build on. They've got so many different iterations of characters out there on TV right now, and they're not slowing down. It blew my mind when I heard J.K. Simmons was coming back for the Batgirl movie. That doesn't make sense, right?
It doesn't.
It blew my mind even more when they said that Michael Keaton is going to be in it. What?
Oh, that was great.
That's great, but it's crazy. That was great. Right? What happened to Ben Affleck? How can you have J.K. Simmons without Ben Affleck? We're going to find out. So they have an opportunity. They seem like they now have a plan. We've been hearing the rumors about Michael Keaton taking over as the new iteration of Batman for whatever multiverse hopping or reboot that they do. It's got a chance. It definitely has a chance to at least reignite interest and add some cohesion. I want to see them justify how this Barry met with the TV version of Barry, because that already happened like 2 years ago, right? But
didn't they show something in the clips or trailer or something like that where he's meeting other versions of himself?
He is. So in the TV show, he just showed up out of nowhere one day Ezra Miller's Flash, and then he just left, and they just left it as an Easter egg cliffhanger. They never explained how he was hopping from multiverse to universe to universe. I'm hoping they explain it in this movie.
Oh, I could see it. Yeah, they'll explain it in the movie.
It's been 2 years I've been waiting. I'm waiting for it. But yeah, the Flash movie, it's got an interesting cast. They seem like they have an interesting direction that they can possibly go in. They're definitely going to change the interpretation of the DCEU moving forward. I'm excited to see where they go with it. I'm also curious about why Zack Snyder is leaving all these Easter eggs on social media about Justice League. That's been teasing me a little bit too.
I haven't seen that.
No? He's been like posting photos on like holidays of like a turkey, but then in the background of the turkey is like Justice League Final Crisis graphic novels and stuff. Like he's been sitting here doing the most on social
But
media.
he's been doing stuff like that though. Like no, what I'm saying is like he
did that when he didn't want to outright say, "Hey, I have my own version of the
right." I mean, that's the thing. He would egg people on. Always. It was just like with the Green Lantern thing when they were like, "Yeah, I was gonna have Green Lantern," and WB was like, "Hey, like, chill out with that. Like, no." And then he was like, "Oh, okay." And then he dropped the picture of the dude that was gonna be Green Lantern. Like,
he doesn't do this stuff needless.
He gaslights these people.
He is great at taking a movement and orchestrating it around without being overtly orchestrating it. Because contractually, he probably can't say certain things.
Right.
But when people are like, "Hey, is there a Snyder cut?" I don't know. Is there? He's caught.
Right.
So with him doing these things, it's very
reminiscent. I'm not gonna say there isn't one.
Yeah. It's very reminiscent of the same campaigning he did for the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
So now he's posting pictures with his graphic novels in the background. He did one for Thanksgiving. He did it again for Christmas. I can't wait to see what he does tonight for New Year.
He's trolling, man.
He is trolling, but he's good at it. You would think he would be promoting, I don't know, Army of the Dead, or
forget that.
His new movie.
Netflix got that covered. Netflix is like one of the best promoters out there. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Netflix is great for him. I think it's a wonderful partnership for him that allows him to do things that he should be doing directly to stream anyway.
I told you the number one strength for Zack Snyder is to do original projects.
I want him to do a Sucker Punch 2 on Netflix.
That fine, whatever. Like when Zack Snyder is able to do things that don't carry very big expectations, he's able to do so much better. He's able to excel in those spots, in those lanes. Even if the film is not that good, like Sucker Punch, you still can be like, well, at least it was original. At least it was something different, But like when you go into Watchmen, I mean, even Watchmen, even as great as some people want to make it out to be, some people still had issue with the way he ended it because he altered the ending. And the same thing with, the whole Justice League and all the other characters. It's kind of like his version, his take on things. Some people will look at it as you're butchering, the source material. Like, keep in mind, there was if I'm not mistaken, he wanted to kill Batman. He wanted to kill Batman.
Kill him.
You know how to and you see what did WB say? Stop playing.
Yeah,
you're not gonna play with our money.
Yeah.
Stop it.
So
that's crazy.
Imagine if
who
he
would
did
ever kill the lead
but
character
here's the thing.
of their own
think
movie.
about it. In hindsight, I'm like, Zack Snyder's characters are an acquired taste. It's kind of like beer. When I was that kid, and I first tasted beer, I don't like this. Why would you give me this? And then after a few movies, and I know it's not for everyone, I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I like his last Justice League movie, the 4-hour one. I would be happy for him to have his own little sandbox to play with these characters if they allowed him to continue his story. He's fine to me. I get it why people didn't like his interpretations at that time. But if you look at people today versus people then, their willingness to accept his type of storytelling is very different. I don't care if you kill Batman now because I've got 3 others. right? Michael Keaton is still here. Right? You can kill Ben Affleck, and I've got this the Batman movie that just dropped the trailer. That's looking hype now. Look, do what you want.
Okay.
That's the type of freedom I think he always deserved. I think if they decided to let him continue, now would be a great time, especially now that they have a multiverse, and people won't be so up in arms with his interpretations of these characters. I love when writers change characters. I love when Tom Taylor changed Superman for Injustice. That was amazing. Nobody sat there and said, Superman would never kill. Dude killed the Joker and we loved it, right? Yeah. Under no circumstances would he do that, right? That's a huge change in his character.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm okay with it now. It's an acquired taste. I like it now, and I'm okay if he continues.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I had about the DCEU. I guess I could kind of wrap it off here. Did you want to still talk about Cobra Kai? There's not really much to say.
I don't watch the show, and that's no slight against the show. I just, I haven't watched the movies in a long time, and I just haven't kept up after that.
I saw the Karate Kid 2. I saw the remake with Jaden.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. Right? And Jackie Chan. That was a cool take on the Karate Kid. But
sure.
I'm with you. I haven't seen them since like the 90s. But the fact that this show is on like its 4th or 5th season and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down. Like Ralph Macchio, I think he just went and got in shape and was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna start doing karate in this show soon. I might as well be ready.
Might as well. Right? This is your bread and butter now.
Yeah, it is. So
I put my all into this too. I'll be walking around with my own shirt and everything.
I'm kind of curious if I need to catch up. Like it.
I mean, I probably will because, like you said, it doesn't look like it's gonna end. This kind of reminds me of like with Cowboy Bebop. I was apprehensive to watching it. And all of a sudden it got canceled. And that's like one of my biggest fears. I hate being late to something. And then if I start watching it, find out that it's canceled and I'm already too deeply invested.
Yep.
I don't like that.
I don't like that. With you on that. Yeah, Netflix has done that before. They've gut punched me with some shows that I thought would stand the test of time, and it
like Ozark. I might jump into Ozark because
it's like 5,
they
6
said,
seasons.
"Yo, this is gonna be the final season." So that sounds like to me there's a complete story, and I remember people was hyping that series up. So I'm gonna go check that out.
I know one thing I'm doing now that I wasn't doing before is I'm finally watching Daredevil season 3.
Yo, let me tell you, I just finished it. I just finished it because I was on the end. I finished Daredevil 2. I was in the middle of Luke Cage season 2, but when I heard that Marvel, like that Netflix was going to cancel the series and they weren't going to continue, I was just like, I can't do this. Like I said, if I know it's canceled, I don't want to do it, But of course, knowing that there could be some crossover action going, I was like, you know what? Just so I'm in the know, let me finish it so I could be aware at least of what's going on. So season 3 it's solid. It's very good.
I heard season 3 was great. I heard it's arguably the best with season 1.
Yeah.
I like the way that the Defenders went.
Mm-hmm.
I like Jessica Jones, both seasons. They were really good shows.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say anything about the Iron Fist. We'll just not talk about
it.
But
when I take this shirt off, it's gonna say Recast Iron Fist. That's gonna be the new campaign because he gotta go.
He gotta go.
Finn Jones gotta go.
Nobody is gonna sit here and argue with you about it.
I don't care if they put the whole Marvel.
Honor the character. Marvel is not going to talk about honoring this character.
I don't care if they want to put the whole Marvel machine behind him. I refuse.
So now I'm catching up. I got to finish Daredevil season 3, and I got to watch The Punisher, and then I got to
watch that too. I got to finish season 2 of that too. I did not care about Jessica Jones though.
Jessica Jones was
it was the first season I loved because Kilgrave was amazing. After that, it went downhill.
The second season was different, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. Purple Man is cool.
3 seasons.
Nah, Jessica Jones had 2. Daredevil's the only one that had 3.
Yeah, I'm straight.
So I'm gonna catch up on that. But that's all I got. Cobra Kai passed the test of time. We touched on the Matrix. We talked about the DCEU. Talked about Recast T'Challa. We don't need to talk about Spider-Man. That's all. Yeah, we talked about everything. Anything else you want to chat on?
Oh man, I think that's about it, man. We're going into the new year, and you know, hopefully everything is gonna start looking better. Especially with movies, you know, more people go. Look, either people gonna go get the shot, or they're gonna catch the COVID. One way or another, we're gonna get to a point where hopefully herd immunity kicks in, and we can get back to normal sooner. Get back to these theaters.
That's right. All right, well, that's all I got for this one. Thank you guys for checking out our latest episode of The Correct Opinion. Hopefully we can do some consistency with this stuff. It's on me. But thank you guys for checking it out. If you guys are new here, do me a favor. Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button before you go on to something else. But check you guys later. Peace. I can hit the stop record button. Now, let me see if I can do this without hanging up, because I almost always hang up.